2. Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody out there traveling over the river and through the woods and eating pumpkin pie and leftovers. Bring it my way. I'll take some cranberry. I am thankful that the Ravens, 24 years into this, have a rich history with some really good alums and some good people. Dan Wilcox is one of those guys who came out many nights to the barn and Putty Hill Station and places we did shows back when he was a tight end for the Baltimore Ravens. Now an alum, and I see him here from time to time. He comes up for various Ravens alums functions from Atlanta, Georgia. Always one of the good dudes around the team, and I think wearing the purple flamingos out on the lawn down in Atlanta right now as Lamar Jackson has all of us scratching our heads. Dan, first off, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving to you. Have we ever seen anything like this Lamar Jackson mania going on right now,
huh? Hey, Nestor, thanks for having me on, buddy. Man, Lamar Jackson is absolutely phenomenal what he's doing right now. The closest thing I can think of, man, to this is Michael Vick when he was here back in Atlanta. He kind of took the whole NFL by storm and became the face of the league for a year or so before he got into some trouble. But he electrified the NFL, and Lamar Jackson is doing the exact same thing. I mean, he can raving about MVP votes for him and talking about how amazing this guy is. They've given him a nickname, Action Jackson, and I mean, he's been phenomenal for the Ravens this year. He's the X factor.
Well, okay, so you played a lot of football, right? And did you ever play in one of these kind of offenses at Appalachian State or high school ball or whatever, where this is it, and the special athlete's the quarterback? When I played Pop Warner, we had a special athlete that was a quarterback, and we ran the football, right? I mean, that's what you do. But in the NFL, this is counterintuitive, right? 15 years ago when you're playing in the league, if someone would have said they were going to run this kind of offense, people would have scratched their heads. People were scratching their heads 6 weeks ago, Dan. Everybody's on the bandwagon now all of a sudden, but this was not universally thought to be a good idea. 31 other teams passed on him, right?
Absolutely, man. I mean, this makes John Harbaugh look like he's the most genius coach in the NFL right now. And I know, Harbs is, I think the biggest thing that Harb has going for him is he has no ego right now. He allowed the offensive guys to do what they do. He allowed the defensive guys to do what they do. I don't know if it's because he originally came into a head coach spot from a special teams coordinator position, and he's really not as hands-on as he has to be with those things. But he let his coaches coach, man, and it's starting to show up big time. I mean, you just see the swagger and the confidence coming from the team and the players. And, I mean, they playing like they're in Baltimore. I mean, I always feel like a really good team takes on the personality of the city. And Baltimore has that greediness, has that really good vibe about them, the way they approach things. It's an aggressive place. It's just a really awesome place to live, man. And you see the Ravens players just kind of taking on the personality of the city. People are starting to be afraid of them, man. I think Boogie McFarland compared them to the Wire.
Well, we don't like that around here. That's not that's not something we dig around here.
Yeah, man.
I live here, so I really bristle at that manure. I mean, like really.
Yeah, man.
That's like when Donald Trump calls my city an S-hole. You know what I mean? Like I don't like that.
Absolutely.
That's not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the greediness that they got right now. They just got so much freaking confidence and greediness about them, man. It's just like people are being afraid to play the Ravens right now. And that's how it should be. That's what you want from your team. You want people to bite their nails when they know they got you on the schedule. You don't want them to be, we're going to play the Ravens. They nice. They really sweet.
Well, I mean, you were a tight end, and you played in this kind of offense, at various points. What we're seeing from the tight ends, from Greg Roman, from utilizing these tools in the way that they can be maximized, literally, right?
Absolutely.
But there's also the point where Lamar needs to be safe with his body as well because it all happens off of him. I talked to Weddle after the game. Weddle said he had no idea where the ball was. They couldn't see the ball. And then before they can see the ball, Nick Boyle's cracking down on them, or here comes Pat Ricard around the corner, right? You know what that looks like on a rumble, but, the sweeps never really worked, right? I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have the forward pass in football. But in this case, this is a pretty special group of athletes. But more than that, the play calling. I mean, you mentioned Greg Roman, how he's utilizing this, because no one wanted to design an offense like this because they didn't think it would work.
Nah, Roman's doing a heck of a job, man. I mean, the reason why they can't see the football is because you got to respect Lamar, you got to respect Ingram. I mean, the running back core that they've put together with the player personnel department in Baltimore has been unbelievable. I mean, you got three really great running backs with Edwards, Hill, and Ingram. Ingram is tearing it up right now, so you got to respect him 100%. Then the tight end trio, oh my goodness, this might be the best tight end trio in the history of football. I mean, you got three tight ends that are freaking studs. I mean, and I think Boyle is the sleeper, and he's a starter, but I think he's a sleeper out of the three. I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber guy. And, of course, Mark Andrews is a difference maker, man. I mean, he's unbelievable. But then you got Jaden Hurst, who's probably the future, and he's unfreaking believable as well. You got three guys that they're going to have to pay at tight end. So they make you respect them all over the field. Even the wide receiving core is really, really good. They're sneaky good. And you have to respect them all. They got long speed with Hollywood. You know, they got toughness with Snead. You know, then you got Seth Roberts in there that's kind of throwing himself in the mix as well and doing some really good things. I think he's probably one of your most all-around receivers that they have on the team right now. I mean, they got some really, really, really good components of this offense. I mean, you got to give props to the offensive line. They are absolutely kicking people's butts up front. They're doing everything they got to do to make sure they block downfield and extend those plays for Lamar and company as well, man. And Lamar has just really done a really, really good job with his fakes, his handoffs, his gives, his pulls, you know, and keeping his eyes downfield when he scrambles. With somebody with that type of running ability, usually once they start to run with the ball in their hand, you know, they're going to keep their eyes downfield, but he keeps his eyes downfield right until he crosses the line of scrimmage, and that's pretty special.
Dan Wilcox, he's pretty special, former Raven and a Super Bowl winner with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And how about John Gruden coming back, right? I mean, there's your guy,
Yeah.
a second life for Gruden, huh, Chucky?
Absolutely. Chucky got 9 lives. He's like a cat, man. You know, he sat back and made a ton of money off the field. Now he's running back in and making even more money, man. He's just got 9 lives. I mean, he's unstoppable, man, and he keeps getting put into a position where he's available to be successful. I mean, he has all the power, everything he needs in order to pull strings and play puppet master to make his team exactly what he wanted to make it. I mean, I think he's done that. You see how the Raiders have kind of transformed already in the last year or so. With him being under the helm, man, I think he's going to do a wonderful job out in Oakland.
He wasn't real happy up in the Meadowlands last weekend when the Jets took him out. But, Dan, for you, you're living in Atlanta. I know you do some real estate work and rehab some houses down there. You've been involved with the Ravens during the summers. And, life as a former NFL player and watching where the league is and watching where Baltimore and how we've grown and won a championship since you left, this is a pretty special place. I think Mark Ingram's finding that out. I think when Eric Weddle came out in the hallway as an LA Ram in this rent-a-stadium with a rent-a-fan base and all of that even talking to the Baltimore media, there's something, I mean, Trevor Price lives here and played all those years in Denver, and I run into him around town. There's something about Baltimore and Ravens and being a Ravens alum now that probably means something different than when you were a player and we really didn't have a whole lot of alums, right?
You're right. You didn't, man. I think Jackson stays up there still, and he was one of the few guys that was still there. I mean, Black and it wasn't a lot of guys around. You know, a lot of older guys that played on the Baltimore Colts were still around, but not a lot of the actual Baltimore Ravens that kind of stayed around. And I think that's important, man. It says a lot. When I look back on me being retired now 10 years, I look back and say, hey, man, I should have stayed in Baltimore myself. And I love the city of Baltimore. I'm actually thinking about Nestor. So, I mean, keep a lookout for him. I might need a good townhouse or something.
Hey, man, you know what? We need more good citizens here, Dan Wilcox. So you're welcome in Baltimore anytime. I'll tell you that right now.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. I love the city of Baltimore, man. There's nothing like the Ravens fans, and I always tell people they want to experience a really good NFL football game. Go watch the Baltimore Ravens play at home. I mean, the environment is electric. I mean, the atmosphere is unfreaking believable, man, and the fan base there is just, I mean, it's so good. I mean, they love you so much. I still got fans reaching out to me 11, 10 years later after I retired, you know, on Facebook, on Instagram, you know, trying to touch bases with me.
And radio guys, too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, you know, we're family, man, so you don't count, you know, but we're family. We spent so much time with each other when I was playing and I was in Baltimore, man. I just feel like you're a part of my family. It was good to reconnect with you when I saw you last time, man. So, I mean, I'm extremely blessed, man, to be a Baltimore Raven and having to be able to retire as a Raven. You know, I really appreciate the city of Baltimore and what they do for us as players and how they embrace us and our families and allow us to come into the community and help try to change it and make it better, man. Really appreciate it.
Well, there you go. So that's a perfect Thanksgiving message from Dan Wilcox, former Raven. Back onto the field, man. Defensively, the way they played the last month, and I mean, you can speak to this because you were, at various points in your career, a fringe guy, trying to make the team, trying to make a roster, trying to be a special teamer, trying to catch the eye of a coach, or trying to lay down some tape that somebody in the next city, whether it was Tampa or Baltimore, would want you on their football team. Defensively, we had Josh Bynes out last week, right? You know, Auburn comes in here. A lot of guys were in the way. He winds up going 8 years, making his own career, winding his way back here. You know, he gets tapped on the shoulder 4 weeks into this, shows up on a Tuesday, and he's out on the field in the first series, picking a ball off in Pittsburgh for a pick six, you know, up there. You talk about Ellis 2 weeks ago. Damata Pekka, you know, playing all those years in Cincinnati and Denver, comes in here, and now they're all in a catbird position. Look at Marcus Peters, right? I mean, gets dealt into this thing and doesn't even know his teammates and is out there on an island picking balls off and helping a new team, and clearly has some swag about him based on the L.A. thing and where the Jalen Ramsey thing went the other night in L.A. out on the field. I was 10 feet away from that mess late into the night Monday. But defensively, what Wink has done and putting these parts together, and Earl Thomas sort of rent a Hall of Famer because you lose Mosley, you lose Weddle, you lose Zadarius Smith. I saw him, you know, sacking the quarterback the other night on Sunday Night Football. It's really amazing the way the organization continues to bottom feed from within, whether it's the draft or saying, let's go get Damata Pekka. He can still play. Let's go trade for Marcus Peters because he's going to come in here and play angry for 10 weeks, and maybe we can win a Super Bowl. They're the best managed team in the sport, chasing the Patriots, and I think it's on display for everybody right now. Really, in the defense, Lamar overshadows all of that, but not this week because the defense was lights out on Monday night too.
No, I don't think nobody can overshadow the defense of the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, they're always super, super, super good. They're always in the top 5 in the nation every single year. Most of the time, they're going to be number 1 at some point during the season. I mean, they do some special things, and they're the one that put Lamar in the situations that he's in to be successful. But I mean, you was talking about the organization, man. I spent 2 months there this summer, you know, interning with the Ravens player personnel, and this is a name you probably don't hear a lot, George Kokinis. You know, George is like freaking unbelievable up there, like masterminding. He memorizes every single player. He never forgets a player. He knows who played for the Ravens, who didn't play for the Ravens, who fits in the defense, who doesn't fit in the defense, who fits in the offense, who doesn't fit in the offense. And when these guys are available, he knows exactly when they're out there, when they've been released, where they're sitting at. I mean, they are the Ravens player personnel department, you know, spearheaded by your GM, you know, Eric DeCosta. I mean, they are doing an amazing job, man. I mean, just you take your hats off to how hard they work. They're in there day and night, and they're the guys that you don't ever see. They always behind the scene, and they're masterminding how to go get these players and where these players are and how can we get them in here for a workout to see if they're healthy, to see if they can come in and help us right away, if they're in shape. You know, they do all the behind-the-scenes work that nobody never knows about, you know, and now you get these players and they come in like Peters and Bourne, like you was just talking about the linebacker that came in and he just picked it off the first time. I mean, these guys, they know they play for the Ravens. They know the defense right away. They know they fit right into the schemes. They already know these things, you know. So once they get them in there, they insert them into the defense or the offense right away, and they don't miss a beat. I mean, that just shows you how good they are with the, you know, inside in the front office in the Baltimore Ravens. And any good organization got to have really good guys behind the scenes, man. I mean, they do an amazing job of finding talent and finding players and getting them in here. And the defense, what Wink is doing, Wink has kind of has that same Rex Ryan kind of persona. You got to have a little bit of swag to you, a little bit of mustard to you, and a little bit of crap to you, you know, to be able to get these guys to want to go out there and run through brick walls for you, man. They love Wink, and they really appreciate him. And I was talking to Ed Hartwell. He's an old former Raven as well, and he played underneath Wink in college. And he was talking about how much Wink is still his guy, how much he loves him to death, and he's like a father figure to him, and that's his guy. Like wherever Wink goes, he wants to be a part of whatever he's doing. I mean, you saw him take the picture and pull the chain out. And I know you don't like the gangster terminology when it comes to Baltimore. Nestor, you got to get away from your sensitive side a little bit, man. Your team is gangster, and you got to really soak that in, Nestor. Like, you got to stop being so sweet and soft, man. You know, you got a really gangster team. The Ravens have always been a gangster organization. When they put on all that black and they go out there, people are afraid of the Ravens. And you got to like that. You got to love that. You got to embrace that, man. And, you know, as a radio host, as a fan, as a Raven, you got to embrace that nastiness that the Ravens play with. And they've always played with that. That when Harbaugh say play like a Raven, that's what Ravens play like. They go get it. They get to the nitty-gritty. They flock to the ball, and they go hurt people. That's what they do.
Dan, I always appreciate our conversations, man. I love seeing you around a little more often. You coming up for some games through the holiday here? I mean, maybe a Thursday night Jets matchup or something like that?
You know, the Jets game will be a good game for me to come to. If they play the Jets.
They play the Jets on Thursday, the 12th of December. Come on in, man.
I might have to make it up for that game. That's my old alma mater, Jets, man. So to come see the Ravens beat up on the Jets would be a kind of cool thing to kind of see happen.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, look, great seeing you. Great catching up for Thanksgiving. Great talking about a first-place team and number one in the power rankings in defense. And we'll look forward to seeing you here before the holidays and have a little eggnog together or something. What do you think?
That sounds great, Nestor, man. Thank you so much for having me on, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, man, and I appreciate you guys always.
Dan Wilcox, one of my favorite alums of the Baltimore Ravens, talking gangster nonsense, OG stuff with the Ravens and my purple. All of our WNST coverage can be found out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. You can even listen in Atlanta, Georgia, or even Appalachian State, or wherever you happen to be out there on the holiday weekend. Big doings next week after the 49ers game. We're getting ready for the Buffalo game. My wife and I are going to be doing some traveling. You're going to be seeing out on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat and Instagram and anywhere you are, we are. WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore. Happy Thanksgiving. We never stop talking Lamar Jackson and pumpkin pie.